So my honest vision for the state of the planet in the future is pretty bad. If you really want to know what the honest vision is, and that's if we don't make some drastic changes very soon. I work a lot on ecosystems, particularly marine ecosystems, and specialize on coral reefs, and they're already suffering a lot. There's a third global scale bleaching event going on right now, which typically kills a lot of the corals and is difficult for the corals to recover and come back and to be the vibrant ecosystems that they are. So I've already witnessed a lot of changes on coral reefs, largely from climate change, but also from other impacts. Diseases have wiped out a lot of the corals. And so just in my lifetime, I've been scuba diving for probably 40 years, and I've just seen really big changes. And so from that perspective, and from the perspective of viewing other ecosystems, you can get pretty depressed when you think about it. So that's the honest vision. Someone asked me at my high school reunion this past summer about just that question, what's the truth? And I come from a refinery town where a lot of people still work for refineries or for support industries for the refineries. And I love those people. And one of the high school classmates, two of them, asked me what I thought. And as a trusted messenger, and I didn't quite know what to say, but I used the language we all use down there. I said, we're It had a big impact on them because they trusted me. They felt the same way, but they hadn't heard it from a specialist's mouth. The only thing they'd had so far was media. And these are really fine people down there, so there's no degradation in my mind of any of these people. But that was sort of a responsibility to someone that really wanted the truth. But, I think the second question is, what do I typically tell people? So, despite the way that I feel about the future of marine ecosystems, when I talk to people, particularly the public, I like to give them the truth. I like to say, it looks really bad. It won't be like a perfect vision, because we don't know what that vision is. But what I find they respond to most is the hope. And so in my community of investigators and researchers about what the future is going to be like for coral reef ecosystems, there's a split. Some people think they're all going to go, and some people think that there will be pockets of reefs that survive, and some of them think that not much will happen worse than what's going on already. But I think when I talk to people, I like to give them a vision of what it could be like, the positive ways that we can make a difference in coral reefs. There are some great examples. People are already, putting in protections around reefs to keep fishing levels down, keep other impacts down, keep pollution out of reefs. And that can go a long, long way to protecting them. But there's many, many other things. When you think about climate change in particular, there's not much you can do about warm water, even when you have a protected area. And so the other things that we work on are how to breed a better coral, how to grow a coral reef back once the corals have died. There's a whole toolbox of things we can try to do. Some of them get riskier and riskier as we go toward conditions that are worse and worse for reefs. But the thing that people respond to the most, even with the bad news, is the hope. So the hope is what I really have tried to key in on, because it's just vital to keeping people from shutting down and to keep getting people activated to try some things and realizing we're just trying to buy some time. So one of the things that gives me a lot of hope for or, continuing on this journey to try to do whatever we can to save not just, marine ecosystems, but ecosystems everywhere and the people that depend on them, is this amazing capacity of people for the light to switch on and to become part of the solution rather than coming from some place where they just didn't understand the situation. So I have a lot of faith in people, and I have a lot of faith in optimism. So when when I lose my optimism is when I get the least done, or when I have the least creativity. And people are so good at sensing the way other people feel, is if I go in front of a group of people and I tell them that things are bad and there's some things that we can do, but if they are reading right through that and sense that I'm not believing what I'm saying, they're going to sense it immediately. So part of this is just a contagion of how people can grasp onto an idea and go for it. And the other thing that gives me hope is that just things are changing so quickly. People are definitely coming onto this idea. I just feel there's just this groundswell of acceptance of the fact that there is climate change. And then the more specifics we can give people, the more they can cling to those specifics, which builds on itself, and these transitions can occur. And so that's really what gives me hope, is just seeing in some of these small areas what people can do, how they can come together as a community to get it done. In my own experience, I had some money to start a project that I wanted to put towards conservation, and I went down to Costa Rica, and I asked a lot of people, I said, should I save the turtles? Should I contribute to this project? Should I save this? Should I save the mangroves? Should we do this? And as soon as I said, what about putting in coral nurseries? People lit up. And the reason they lit up is because it's a positive thing. And that's what has given me the most traction in pulling people on board or getting people to think this is a real thing. Here's somebody that thinks things are bad, but he yet realizes the strength of trying lots of things, because ecosystems are amazing. They can bounce back if you give them a chance, and we're learning a lot more about them all the time. So I'm hopeful. I can't say, that these little things are going to divert a crisis, but boy, they can really buy some time. So that's where I am on this. Well, the scientific realities are we don't know where we're going to end up. So if we hit our 2-degree target, I definitely have hope that we can save a lot of the coral reefs. We won't be able to bring them back the way they were, but we can definitely maintain viable coral reefs, even with 2 degrees warming. If we go a lot beyond that, I don't have a lot of hope. But when they said 2 degrees is the target, and we're really going to try for 1.5 degrees, I just screamed. I was so excited, because every increment of temperature on a lot of marine ecosystems, not just coral reefs, is really important. It's, our thermostat, 0.5 degree means nothing. But when you talk about global temperatures for marine ecosystems, 0.5 degree can be everything between totally, ecosystem collapse and maintaining a viable ecosystem. So I am very excited that people are recognizing that it's not just doing something about climate change, but about really pushing those limits back. There's an awakening going on about what climate change means. I'm impressed. And I'm impressed that we've had some leadership there to pull that off, particularly with Barack Obama and a lot of other people that worked very, very hard to make that work. And it's been a long time coming, and you can be cynical about it, and there's always room to be cynical, but I think we need to celebrate the fact that the agreement was made, and the hard part does start, but we had to cross that threshold first. So that's why I'm optimistic. You know, sometimes when I think about, so I say, yes, we can save this ecosystem if we start pulling all these tools together, if we start learning a lot about genomics, learning a lot more about how these, how these ecosystems can recover, if we can get through all the policy issues of trying to move things around to keep them viable. You know, when I think about all what that takes, and if you repeat it for so many other ecosystems, you think, God, wouldn't it just be a lot easier just to speed up the problem of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? And it's one of the reasons I go there. You just demonstrate, if you want to keep just this one ecosystem around, that's what you have to do. You have to do a lot to keep them around, a lot of effort, a lot of man hours, money, legalities, policy, international agreements. So it takes a ton of work to get these things to a place where you feel comfortable that they can survive. But on one hand, it's just survival. On the other hand, it seems like it would be just a hell of a lot easier to just do something about the carbon dioxide. It's free. There's no legal necessity to pull CO2 out of the atmosphere or to keep it from going into the atmosphere. But there's so much more when you start talking about international agreements to even put a marine protected area in place.